Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Comic Corner. And today we have a very special episode for you. Today we are joined by friend of the show, writer of the Storm series, Murewa Ayodele, and we are also joined by friend of the show, Antoine Dodson, to talk all about the newest issue of Storm, Storm number 10, kicking off the Thunder War, just came out today. So we're going to get all into it, all into the nerdy stuff. If you guys have read the issue, please feel free to leave your comments below. We're going to be talking all about it. We're going to be answering your questions. So, let's get into it. We're a little apologize. We're a couple minutes late. That was completely my fault. So let's get right
Sorry about
into it.
that.
Murewa, welcome back. Thank you. How are you doing today?
Fine, it's good to be here. I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, man. It's always such a fun time when we get to hang out. And like I said, we are also joined by friend of the show, Antoine Dodson. First time here,
Yeah.
Comic Corner. How are you doing today, my friend? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. It's new release day. There's always a great energy going on new release day, and I've been seeing some really cool things about the book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, release day is always so exciting. And this one, we actually kind of had to wait a little bit longer than usual. And I'll say, before we
Yeah.
get into the nitty gritty, it was well worth the wait. But before we get into the issue, just very quickly, Antoine, since this is your first time here on the show, I just want to give a quick little introduction for you. We usually do kind of, origin story type things, but we'll make it quick this time. Just want to know, what's your relationship with Storm, like with comics in general, and also how did you and Murewa get linked up, and how did you start your Storm journey?
My Storm journey started with X-Men the animated series. That was my introduction into Storm. My dad was a fan before I was born, so he kind of like segued me into it. And when the animated series started, he recorded it. And I just started watching the tape so much that eventually like I ruined it. So we had to like go out and buy the tapes that they were selling in the store. And so that was the beginning for me. And I liked all the characters. I liked Wolverine, I liked Cyclops, I liked Jean Grey, I liked all of them. But Storm was the one that really captured me. I think it was not just it was one of the things where she looked like me, but also because she had this gravitas to her. She had this drama. And as I've said before, excuse my language, I've always loved a bad bitch. And to me, she was one of the baddest. So that was it. My first because I was a little younger watching the show. In fact, I was really young. So by the time I was really old enough to start like reading comics or collecting actively was like the very beginning of Extreme X-Men back in like the early 2000s. So that was my first like real collecting experience. And when I was really like, oh wow, so this is who this character is. And then of course I got to go back and read all of the old issues and the different eras. So fast forward to today, I kind of just bamboozled my way in as far as like this current Storm series. I just believed in it from the beginning. And when I found out who the writer was, I was like, let me just message him and see if I can like help in any way. And so that was really the beginning. We've done whatever we could to get the word out about this series because it deserves it. I'm here to support, I'm here to help, and that's the bottom line for me.
I love that. I love when great comics bring nerds together, just like how it brought all of us together. And
Yeah.
it's just so great to see all the love you've been giving the series, all the, the shout outs and everything. I mean, you are the Stormcaster on the internet, my friend. And
Thank
it
you.
just, it's been such a great experience getting to know you and working with y'all on this amazing series. And speaking of, let's get into it. Storm
Mm.
number 10. Murewa, what the hell, dude? You freaking every issue is better than the last, man. I don't know how you do it. It's so good. And we're going to get into some of the more craziness of it, but I wanted to ask you, I know that at least from my perspective, it seems like every issue you have a very specific goal to achieve with that issue. And I'm going to actually reference your letter page from this recent issue where you talk about how in Storm lack of affection, Storm still gives sacrificially. In Storm number 3, amid abundant of love, she remains committed to duty. And basically talking about how people really show their true selves with either an abundance or a lack uh,
Mhm.
of something, whether that's, confidence, whatever. So with Storm number 10, we're starting the Thunder War. So what was your kind of goal and intention with number 10 specifically, not the whole arc in itself?
Number 10 specifically, like I always say, I always have like a shallow reason and then a deeper reason. A shallow reason was I've noticed that for before X-Men Red, for a lot of X-Men series, Storm has not been in the leadership role. So it's gotten to a level that people question our role in as a leader in the X-Men. People think people just want Storm to be in the leadership role because she's a powerful character, and uh, uh our cunning, our intelligence is often overlooked. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it with Storm 9 and Storm 10. I'm going to put it in the forefront. Let's see our intelligence on wide
Mhm.
open display, and in the narration itself, we also show that just the way we show that in we've also seen it in continuity where Storm used to be we used to see more of that intelligence like during the Claremont era where she didn't have her powers. We used to see that cunning like when she had the duel in with Cyclops. We can see how she can be you know tactical. She's a tactician and
Mhm.
all those things.
Mhm.
But now what she's often used for is that she comes with great power and then she ends the battle. During Fall of X, she's the one that comes to help end everything when it comes to Orchis, all those things. But I think she should be more in those council rooms where these decisions are made, where these strategies are organized, and to be able to put her there. And I want to show that strength. So that was one thing I wanted to do for issue 10 to show that tactical thing. To also show that she needs to explore more of her magical side. You know,
Mm.
the reason why the kind of attack that happens at the end of the issue does not happen to the X-Men on the regular is they have someone like Magic, you know, who has taken our magical studies seriously. It doesn't happen on the Avengers because they have like Doctor Strange, they have like Scarlet Witch, and here she's putting a team together. But because even though she has this magical heritage, she doesn't explore it often. We see her have, they are so organized that they could bring down with God. But something as simple as a voodoo spell, a voodoo doll spell, they
Mhm.
had zero defense against it. And that's because she has been ignoring this side of herself. So that was also to put a limelight on it that see, you need to explore this side of yourself. You need to do
Dang.
something about this.
Yep.
So there's that too. So but on the deeper end of things, it's about acceptance, which is also reflected in Jaden, you know, which we see Jaden accepting being a mutant, Jaden accepting being trans, and Storm accepting being a thunder god and accepting our role, like, I'm going against this thunder god, and it's accepting that role and moving forward with it. And as she's being more open to accepting some of these roles, that's when Infinity shows up. And we're going to see, is she going to accept that cosmic destiny as well? So it's so many things moving around when it comes to Storm as a character in publication history and also in this series as a whole.
Dude, that's crazy. It's just crazy to hear you talk about like how many elements are at play. Like especially with the voodoo doll stuff. I would have probably never put that together in a million years. Me and Antoine were actually just talking about this before we started recording, but it's like you are so good at giving me what I want when I don't know that I want it. Like the whole like with the magic stuff. Like I wouldn't have even clocked that, but now that you explain it, it's like it was right in front of my face the whole time, and like it's perfect. Like that just makes
Yeah.
so much sense. And Antoine, I want to throw it off to you because we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, but we both really loved how you opened up this issue and like
Mhm.
the kind of team bonding that we got in the beginning.
Yeah. So we were, as TJ was just saying, we were talking about this because as like the deep lore expands, we know who Eden is and we know who Japheth is. But you know, for newer fans like TJ, they are aware that they exist, but they don't really have that emotional connection to them, and they don't really know how it all comes together as it relates to Storm. So seeing them interact in that way might have I won't say it might have seemed redundant to like fans that know, but it was really for the fans that don't know, in my opinion. I think that was what was really special. And because of what happened at the end of the issue, it really created a necessary emotional connection to the characters.
Yeah.
So that when it happened, it's like, oh shit. Wait a second. I was just starting to like them.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
see, and you see, yeah, and coming from issue 9, where you see Storm cry a little about what she's going through
yeah,
emotionally with Eternity, that it feels almost like what she goes through with Eternity almost like sexual assault.
yeah,
And for the first time in this entire series, from issue 1, we see her laughing, we see her happy, and we see
yeah,
that it's only these two people that are able to bring that side out of her. They're able
yeah,
to make her feel relaxed. And again, which is also a theme of this story, is the universe is cruel. Again, the two people that have become a shelter for her, they are taken away.
yeah,
And it's not just about, yes, the character, the death of the character is cruel, but to Storm as well, she just found shelter.
yeah.
She's not particularly, because of the X-Men, she's not particularly close to the X-Men anymore. She just found her own family. She just made this family, and they are
Mhm.
close now. They are gisting, they are talking about, oh, they're doing truth or dare, are you secretly dating T'Challa? So many of these other things. And again, it's taken away from her, you know,
Yeah,
all because of all these things about the world, you know, things that shouldn't, things that are, should not be a business, like, just because you want this mutant child and you're going to put me through all this pain, and
yeah.
so many things. And remembering something again about the voodoo thing. If you go to the first volume of this series, in issue 4, that's when Storm dies
Mhm.
because of the spell of Dr. Voodoo,
Mm-hmm.
and then she meets Eternity, where she becomes Eternal Storm. Now, this second volume starts with like issue 7. So its own issue number 4 is this issue 10. And the voodoo priest in this story is Agent Etienne. She's the voodoo priest, and because of this voodoo priest again, someone dies. So there's a sacrifice again.
Yeah.
And after that sacrifice, we meet Infinity this time. So it's like, before you can meet God, you have to go through a sacrifice. It has to be a blood
Mhm.
sacrifice.
Mhm.
So in each of those parts, there's a blood sacrifice before you see Eternity, before you see Infinity, before you see God. So
Yeah.
all those things, there are so many mythological structures at play
Mm-hmm.
here.
Mhm.
Dude, there's so many layers to this. Holy crap. And that makes me scared too, because I mean, maybe you don't want to reveal this or you can't get into it, but I mean that makes me think what's how is Abraxas gonna get out? Like he obviously they're in the storm sanctuary, so now I'm scared who's gonna bite it in order for Abraxas to get out. But I think that leads us perfectly. We're kind of already kind of dancing around it here, but let's get right into let's talk about Maggot and Manifold's unfortunate demise in this issue, because I was absolutely shocked. And like Antoine said, these are two characters I'm not very knowledgeable about. Again, I'm aware they exist, but other than that, I couldn't tell you anything about them. And exactly what we were just talking about, you were able to make me care about their death within just, what is it, 22, 24 pages.
Mhm.
So
20.
like your ability to make that connection and again show those relationships with the people is absolutely, it really, really works. But what was you were just like, I obvious it's like I'm still getting over it, people, so sorry if I trip over my words. It was just so shocking, but obviously, like you said, it was in order for Infinity to manifest. But did you have any trepidation about taking out these two characters? And then we also got a comment here in the chat, and again, probably can't speak on this, but friend Leon wants to know, can you speak on whether we might see them return in any form, or is this loss meant to stick?
Okay. So I think some of the things that the guys at Pixar Animation always say is, when you want to make the audience move, is almost like you punish the protagonist for doing something good. So and like I said previously, showing the friendship between Storm and Margot and Manifold, and then seeing them with Jaden, you know, they're there to do good. They're there to help Jaden. To help them relocate to another safe house, and then suddenly they get punished for doing something good. So that always hurts. Um, and as for if the death sticks, two things. Just like in issue 4, when Storm died, there was a rebirth. So here too, um let's say there's going to be a form of rebirth too, but it might not be as immediate as the previous one. um Especially knowing that Margot, for example, has an entity inside him as well. And Manifold's own, though brutal, is not as completely lethal as Margot's own. So we'll see that unfold from next issue to like next year.
Oh, next year. I was gonna say I can't remember what issue it was, but I was like, Maggot already did die, I'm pretty sure, in this series, and he was fine. So I'm sure like Storm can do something, but I think it's
Yeah,
important to
his hands
note.
were pulled apart and then they healed back,
Yeah,
so
so like I think we can figure something out for our boy. But I think it's
Manifold is what we should be scared for. I think Margot is okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would say he's got that Omega power up. So, like you said, I think he can be okay. But Antoine, I know that this was shocking for you too, and you know more about these characters than I do. So, how bad did you scream when that last? And then also, I got a shout out to not only your storytelling, but in partnership. I guess I'm mixing up my words,
Yes.
but with Lucas Wernick's art,
Yeah.
incredible. Like the
And
tension of that
yeah.
scene when you just see the blood and like the
Yeah.
like little sound effect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it works so well. But Antoine, how shocking was that for you? And especially since you're very much in the fold of the Storm universe.
It's interesting that you say that. Well, before I get into that, let me also say, A+, of course, across the board for Lucas, and also for Alex's colors,
Yes.
because he really brought the
Yes.
Yes.
blood to life.
Oh
He really
man,
brought
yes.
the whole thing. It was just stellar creative team. But to your point about being shocked, of course, I was stunned. I was, I really just sat there for a second and looked at the page because I felt Like, okay, oh God, what's gonna happen? What's coming? Um, and so when I saw it, I instantly thought about what Maria was just saying about how Storm has finally just created this new family. You know, they're all living together now. She's not in that house with the baby hippos by herself anymore. Because remember, at first, all she was doing was hanging out with animals and capybaras.
Yeah.
But, you know, now she's got actual people in the house with her. They're probably doing little movie nights and hanging out and having fun. And now that's just gone like that. And I saw somebody mention how they felt like, and I want to bring this up because I think it's important to mention, how they felt like Storm was just being a little too brutalized in this series. And my rebuttal to that is, do you read solo hero comics? That was my first question because if you do, this is not at all out of the ordinary for a solo hero. A solo hero really goes through it. And TJ, as I'm sure you can speak to, seeing a lot of the stuff that Thor has gone through during the, I mean, what he's just gone through in his own book. This is not uncommon. So the shock factor to me was definitely commiserate to the fact that like this is kind of what I wanted to see for Storm for a long time. Like I want to see these struggles. I want to see what she does when her back is really up against the wall, when she
Mhm.
doesn't have anybody else, when she just has to be the one to say, "All right, I've got to handle this. What am I gonna do?"
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I love about, Storm, and like you mentioned too, Thor too. I've gotten into it with a couple people over the years because for me, like you said, to me, that's what I love about Thor is that,
Hmm.
yes, he is all powerful. He is like, beyond powerful, but he still loses and he still experiences loss and
Yeah.
heartbreak, and he still has to, put the hammer in front of him every single day and prove his worthiness. And like that's to me what makes it very interesting. And I'll even Murewa, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to quote you because again, your letter page this week was fantastic. You you really
Yeah.
replied to these letters amazingly. But
Thank
you
you.
actually spoke on this week, and I think you summed it up perfectly. But basically, someone said the same thing. Like, damn, Storm's kind of been getting her ass beat this series, right? And you said that I understand the intense love you have for Aurora Monroe. Makes her pain hard to follow. It hurts me too, but I constantly remind myself that, quote, the tree that would grow to heaven must send its roots to hell. And on
Hmm.
our journey to making our dear Storm the greatest solo hero, she will have to face trying labors. And I
Yeah.
think that just like that puts a bookend on the whole thing. That just so beautifully said. And I
That's it.
think if I feel like we're getting that every single issue. So how do you balance, like I said, it feels like whether it's the big grand scale issues, like I'm thinking, I want to say issue 6, where we get the kind of eternity and oblivion stuff, and then issue 9 when we get it's just Storm and this FBI guy in a interrogation room.
Mm-hmm.
But you seem to be able to fit that theme in almost every issue. So I don't know if that's just the cosmic storm gods imbuing you with knowledge, or like how does that just come naturally, or is that always in the back of your mind of how am I gonna make this, no matter what the theme or what's going on here, how am I gonna relate this back to how Storm will overcome this?
Um, I think sometimes I get notes from Tom Brevoort to be like, you're putting a lot of stuff like in the panel descriptions that the audience would never get to read, you know. So it's because it's always on my mind, and it's why I love some certain type of comics, creators like Brian K. Vaughan and people and
Hmm.
Jeff Lemire, you know,
Hmm.
storytellers that they never shy away from the emotions. The emotions is very, very important, but at the same time, too, they are telling this, big story that has this incredible plots with various plot twists. So it's trying to constantly balance it. So like this issue now is more plot heavy. The next one that is going to be a Storm 11 is going to be more self-reflectory. We're going to see Storm talk more. We're going to see Storm reflect more, because what just happened here that I'm not sure if some people have realized is this: Eternity has been tormenting Storm, and Eternity's sister just showed up. It's like meeting the family member of someone that your mortal enemy. Like, you just met the family of your mortal enemy. Like, she's going to go off on that person. So this is where we're going to see her crash out. This is where we're going to see what she has in mind. That this is what your brother has done to me. This is where we're going to see all that. So it's trying to balance everything. So it's maybe a little plot here, some cosmic stuff. Then maybe you move to more grounded stuff, and then we now move to like emotional bits. And there are also some things I also try to do, which I hope it's helping the series as a whole. But I think it's going to help Storm as a franchise. One thing I figured out while I was doing research when I was called upon to work on this project is when you ask people that, oh, there's a new Storm solo, the expectations people have is so low. Is so low. People are like, oh, yeah, it's going to be a story about in Africa running with this thing, or it's going to be this thing, this thing. It's that, oh, it's not going to reach some certain levels.
Hmm.
So everything I try to do in this series is to break those things. Like our on a team, like, oh, we can have stories of us still leading a team, like an X-Men book, you know, because you see some of the stories of some of maybe some other X-Men characters. X-Men people are still there, like, oh, she can still be a leader in a solo, you know. So you have that. You have stories like, oh, we can have a sci-fi noir kind of story, like the FBI story there. Oh, you can have like big cosmic stuff, like Thor, like Phoenix, like all this stuff. Like, yeah, you can have that too, you know. But you can also have like the Spider-Man grounded noir thing, like, oh, the police are after you, and so trying to also balance all that while still trying to also still have emotional stories. So it's why we have all those kind of like longer arcs that you first touch upon the cosmic stuff, then some a little grounded stuff, then some emotional stuff. So it's always in my mind trying to balance
Yeah.
everything so
Yes.
that Storm's franchise as a whole would be richer for it. So if, for example, somebody else takes over, they don't have to do everything. They might just say, oh, I just want to focus on Storm tackling grounded stuff. But this time around, people's expectations would not no longer be low. They're like, oh, I like this person's take. This person's doing Storm that is grounded. Oh, nice. Let's go with it. If someone wants to do like, oh, I want to go Thor, this thing, people are okay with it. Because someone has shown that, yeah, this character is versatile enough to handle everything.
Right.
Mhm.
So just the way you're cool when somebody is telling a Thor story that he doesn't even go to Earth at all. There are Thor stories
Hmm.
that is not even in Earth at all, that everything is in space. You have
Hmm.
Unworthy Thor, you have, the tail end of Immortal Thor and stuff like that. And there are some stories where Asgard is even on Earth, and people are also cool with it because you've
Hmm.
seen it happen, So that's the kind of thing I want to break with this series so that moving forward, any creator that takes on the character has the flexibility. So those are all the things I have in mind.
I mean, to me, you're accomplishing all of them. It totally
Yeah,
is
I think
breaking the
so.
mold. And like you said, it just, I think not only just for me, but for everyone. And I think even people at Marvel, like the, higher ups, it really is showing what Storm can be, what she can do, what kind of stories she can be in. And I
Hmm.
think, like you said, it really is just breaking the mold for the future of Storm stories, of what could be possible. And like,
Yeah.
someday, which I don't want to happen, hopefully this isn't for a very, very long time, but if someday someone takes over a new Storm series, you have brought such a platform for them to use and, you know, have their imaginations run. And I think that's something both me and Antoine really love about the series. I
Yeah.
don't mean to put words in your mouth.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree. It's been, well, I mean, case in point, TJ yourself is brought on new fans like you who
Yeah.
didn't necessarily read a Storm book or look into Storm that much, but this series has, yeah, go ahead.
I was just to say, I've always loved Storm. I
Yeah,
will say that I'm not a
yeah,
complete newbie. It's more the other X-Men characters that
yeah.
I'm, you know, not the main. Like basically, if they weren't in the animated series in the '90s, then I'm. It's not my expertise.
Yeah. I think that the one of the goals here is, which is a balancing act, which, you know, I try to tell people it's not easy. And I'm not even a comic book writer, but just from people that I've talked to and seeing some of the work, it's not easy doing this, telling these stories, telling these tales in 20 pages, and especially with a character like Storm, where it's almost like you're starting from scratch, solo hero wise, which is a good
Yeah.
thing because you get to really create the landscape. But, you know, you can't please everybody all the time. And I
You
tell
never can,
people,
especially nerds.
right. But like I tell people, the fortunate thing about Murewa is he does copious amounts of research. So like everything that is happening is purposeful. And even from fan interactions, I know that there's awareness about what fans want. And sometimes we just have to be a little patient and understand and trust the story that is unfolding. Because you can get what you want. It just can't all be at once. You know, things are really just starting to take off. And we have to remember that laying the foundation for this kind of tale for a character like Storm, you know, there are differences, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, like for example, I think a lot of people have been saying that, oh, we would like to see Storm more involved in magic, a
Mhm,
certain group of Storm fans. And but the other group are like, I don't think it would work. Like Storm and magic, it's not going to work. But because of this series, we don't see people saying it won't work anymore. Because you've
mhm.
seen that, oh, there's a way it can
Mm,
work.
it's a
Look
way
at the
to
way
work.
voodoo kind of intertwines with it. And it's like, oh, it can work. So now
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, Storm should just explore magic, it's okay.
Mhm.
So it's just so now I don't think there's any debate anymore of magic in a Storm book would work or not. It's just like, it can work. Let's
Yeah.
just let's just move on with it. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
it's answered some questions that we've always had as Storm fans as well. That would this work? Would this not work? So
Mhm.
but the hard part was trying to find the flavor of magic that would work.
Hmm.
Because
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of magic, and if you just put anyone there, it might be difficult. So it's like, okay, let's try voodoo.
Mhm.
Let's see if voodoo would work. And so far, voodoo seems to work.
Yeah.
I love that too because like I've said many times on this podcast, I am a big like cosmic Marvel nerd and just like the deep gritty lore. And you know, for my people in the know out there, you know, we have obviously chaos magic, which most people will know because of, you know, Wanda, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
But then we have the Eldridge magic, which is like what
Hmm.
Doctor Strange uses, and there's multiple different forms. And just the fact that you thought of that, took the time to even like go down that rabbit hole, I think shows just how much care and thought has gone into this series.
Yeah.
And I want to get more into this more higher level god stuff. Again, we've been kind of talking about it a little bit here, so I think it's perfect segue. But we have a couple questions about this new dimension, not necessarily new dimension, but where they put Shango and we see that Chalk is already there. So this was one of my questions I had. We got to talk about this fight in its entirety because it was great. But uh so first of all, when the hell did she get Chalk? Because it says day 3 they were still on the like big maggot planet thing, and the very next day she came and got Shango. But then Chalk's already there, so like, was that her first stop before she got to Shango? Like, where, or did she get him before, and like he's just been chilling in there?
Before he answers, I just have
Yeah.
to say, I fell out of my chair when that was one of my favorite parts of the book. When Sango showed up and Shock was already there. That was absolutely hilarious to me because, of course. But okay, I just had
And I
to
love
go
how
ahead.
he's like, yeah, it's me. Like he's like
Right.
he's like Chalk. He's like, yeah, I'm stuck
Right.
here too.
She comes for us all.
Yeah.
um. Okay, so I'm going to like go behind the scenes a little for this.
Please.
Um. Then I would not say the story reasons, but behind the scenes, which I hope doesn't ruin the story for anyone, is number one, Thunder War is supposed to be about 6 to 5 issues. Basically, it's supposed to be issue 11 to issue 15.
Mhm.
So, but I was given the option of should do I want to do it now, but end at issue 12, or come back after Age of Revelation and have my full 5 issues. And I'm like, man, I know the comic book industry right now. I don't want to risk it because anything can happen. You might just get a sudden call and be like, you know what? This happened. We're losing money here, here, here. We won't be able to do it. So I'm like, okay. I think I'll do it now. So that means a lot of plot points might have to jump through them. Instead of the 5 issues, 6 issues thing, it's going to be 2 issues, 3 issues, because 10 was not originally part of Thunder War. So now it's there. So that's one. So there's that rush. Then two is Chak is the first. Everyone knows Chak is supposed to be the first god Storm would face, because Chak was the one that held on to her hair.
Mhm.
So Chak's supposed to be the first one. But I'm like, I'm going to I also don't want it to be interpreted in this way that there's the cultural implication of some things that people try to be careful of. That as a black man, if I write Storm, kicking the butt of um a South American god, I hope it won't be interpreted as me being
Mhm.
insensitive to that culture.
Mhm.
And I would also have to also dictate how the realm of Chak looks and so many other things like that. And that was around the time I was told about Age of Revelation. So I also needed it to be fast. So I'm like, I'm going to need to do a lot of research, a lot of this. And okay, I already know what I want for Orun. I already know Shango. Um, it's two African deities facing each other. I don't think it will be interpreted as anything. I'll go with Shango then. So it was that. It was for speed and for also cultural sensitivity as well. Okay, let me go with the two African deities, Storm and Shango. So, but then I would now reveal that. So I now found an interesting to now reveal that, she already, like, while she's already done the kaiju thing, she already dealt with Chak, she dealt with Shango. She's going for the next god. That's when they now saw the beam of light by Bishop. So it's that. So that was why I made that decision.
I think it even I'm always a firm believer in, like, sometimes the best part of stories is what you don't see, like what happens
Mm.
Yeah,
off panel and like what you create with your
because
own
the imagination is
imagination.
stronger.
Exactly, yes. And I think that this is a perfect example of that, because it's like,
Agree.
while I would have loved to see her beat the shit out of Chalk,
Right.
it also makes her, in my opinion, it makes her seem even more powerful and even more
Efficient.
scary, because it's like, oh man, like she's already got one, and
Right.
like she just
Yeah,
got Shango easily. So
Yes.
easily.
so I am scared for who is on her hit list next. And Antoine, how satisfying was it for you to see her just kick the shit out of him?
Well, it was for us, it felt like a long time coming, and probably for her
Hmm.
too. And like you said, I actually was totally okay with not actually seeing the fight because it added it added a layer of for me almost humor to it because it was just like of course she
Yes.
went and got him first, like he's just sitting
Yeah.
he's already sitting there, and now we've thrown Shango in there naked, that she's tossed from the bed. And so it was
True.
serious, but it was also hilarious. Like the way that and
Yes.
like we were saying before, it speaks to her level of like of strategy, her
Mhm.
tactician
Mhm.
mind that a lot of people overlook. Like you were saying before, Marewa, about Orcus. If Storm had, this is just my personal feeling, if Storm had been involved from the beginning of planning with some of that, Fall of X wouldn't have happened because I firmly believe that the way that Storm thinks and looks at situations, coming from her background, that strategy, and not even just a strategy, but she has a very cunning way of looking at things because of her history as a thief. I think she would have seen several plot holes. Like, wait, no, we're too open here. Like, they could easily sneak in and take us from behind. Stuff like that is what I think people forget about Storm. And when she's present, it's a wild card factor. She's always kind of like the wild card factor. And just like that fight with Cyclops, the legendary fight, he couldn't figure her out because Cyclops is probably the greatest strategist overall of the X-Men. I give him that. But he's never really been able to figure Storm out because she's a different kind of strategist. It's like
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I loved seeing that because it made perfect sense for her to handle like that. And Storm is a person that likes to fight smarter, not necessarily harder. So yes, she would bring Maggot in, she would bring Eden in and say, let's make this as quick and efficient as possible. We throw him out the bed, we throw him in the portal, close it, we move on to the next god.
Yeah, we're moving on. And I love how you brought
Yeah.
up I love how you brought up because I didn't even notice this on my first read through, but you're right, he is buck ass naked. I didn't even put that together, which again makes it even better because like the
Yeah.
disrespect, which he deserves.
He deserved.
But let's talk a little bit more. So we got this question in here about the pocket dimension, prison dimension, and I had some questions about this too. So I mean, pocket dimensions, secret dimensions, prison, whatever you want to call it, that is nothing new in the Marvel universe. We've seen that plenty of times before. But my question is, so I mean, we've seen Storm do some crazy stuff in this. So is this like, did she pick this dimension specifically? Is this just a random dimension? And on top of that, who else is in there? I mean, we see Chak and Shangu, but I mean, who's to say she hasn't had this dimension for a while? So is
Mhm.
it? I know you're not going to reveal who, but is it possible that there's other people in there, in prison there, that we don't know about?
Okay. So firstly, just to say buttress what Antoine was saying before about Storm strategy. I also think what's so different about Storm strategy is not only about its intelligence, about how wild it is. And it's because of her background on the streets as a thief
Mhm.
and with the Urchin boys and everything. I think in one comic she beat T'Challa in a game of chess. And I don't
Yeah.
think it's particularly because of like when you're naming people with IQ, Storm is not usually there. Like, oh, you name T'Challa, you name Reed, you name Tony Stark. Storm is not there. But
Yeah.
then in strategy, she beats them. How? And I think it's because people expect you to play the game a certain way.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, oh, you move your queen
Yeah,
here, you move your this here, and she's just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to make this seemingly random move. Like, who's going to expect, like, reading the book, you see Margot eating a kaiju. Who's going to expect it was for this reason why they are eating
yeah,
this kaiju, and
Right.
and the way it unfolds, the chaos of it. And she doesn't stay back, she's there front and center, so you see her with Shango front and center. Shango is very sure the only reason why you put your coin this close is because the queen is the main attacking force. I was like, no, there's someone else here, So it's Shogun did not expect there was somebody else, If Storm is here face to face, you would want to like soften up the person and then you come with your big gun. Don't come with your
Hmm.
big gun first. So all that strategy, that's the chaotic way that Storm moves that makes her sometimes defeat people that are seemingly more intelligent and more tactical than she is.
Yeah.
It's because of the how chaotic she plans and moves.
And that's the
It's
weather itself.
yeah, like the storm. You get that's the
Yeah.
storm. Yeah, so exactly. So, for the pocket dimension, it's me also trying to explain how pocket dimensions work in the Marvel universe. Like because we have the universe itself. Let's just say universe is a ball. And then we say pocket dimensions are like almost like they are circles, but outside the main circle. So it's like, and this story sees the universe almost like a body. So we almost say that, oh, they're like tumors, they're like growths, unusual growths, that there is no matter in them, there's nothing in them. So it's to explain how some things are, it's still part of eternity's body, but eternity does not have access to them. Eternity does not know how to, because it's not supposed to be, it's not a natural occurring thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's a way of me explaining how pocket dimensions work in the Marvel universe. Because it's like, because every realm has its own like entity. The land of couldn't be, shouldn't be, never queen, white hot room, phoenix. The universe, eternity and infinity. Oblivion void, the oblivion. But yeah, just pocket dimensions here and there. You know, like um, like limbo, like, and random ones that Reed Richard uses, Tony Stark uses, all this. Why are they there? What are they? And it's like, yeah, they're still part of eternity, but they are
Hmm.
just these tumors, and all those stuff. And so we don't know how many she has yet. We've only seen one of them, and that one only has those two. Um, and the name that she gives that place is Marisol Abeni, and Marisol is one of our students in the first Storm series. You know,
Hmm.
um, I think I've forgotten her superhero name, Flourish.
She had two, Flourish and then Creep. She changed it to Creep. She might have changed it
Yeah,
back to Flourish, but yeah.
yeah. So that's Marisol. Then Abeni is the I think, is it Little Wakandan or South African
Yeah.
child that she kind of like has this affinity towards and everything. So she named it after both of them. So I, I see that a lot of people have not caught that name. So it's
Right.
just
I
to
was expecting to
show,
see that more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
yeah.
see
So
it. I
it's
see
just
it
to
right here. Yeah.
so yeah, it's just to show that everybody calls Storm mother. Even in the real world, oh, mother, mother, mother. And just so that, yeah, sh the people that see her that way have a special place in her heart as well.
Hmm.
That's, yeah, she names things after them as well.
I love that. I'm still trying to
Yeah.
get over when you just subtly said this is one of the pocket dimensions she has. So I can only, my mind is racing with the possibilities of who else could be in one of these little dimension prisons. But
Yeah.
we got
and
a
then,
question. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and then it introduces another thing that this does, is that introduces that, oh, if she's able to beat Haddad,
Mhm.
that's where we'll probably put Haddad.
She's going. Yeah.
One of those pocket
Yeah.
dimensions. Yeah. So I see some people say that, oh, the plot is not moving forward, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's set up. It's set up for the crazy action that's going to happen. So you just do that. Oh, these are the pocket dimensions. She'll probably put Haddad and maybe those Black Winters,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and seeing her fight a Thunder God, like, oh yeah, oh, Storm is also badass too. So maybe she can match Haddad. We shall see. So things like that. This is just set up an introduction.
Mhm.
Storm does not know about any of this cosmic stuff yet. Has no freaking idea. She doesn't know about eternity. She just knows there's an entity. How will she know? It's until the cosmic forces come crashing down to Earth. So infinity there gives us that connect. So with
Hmm.
infinity there, now she can know what's happening.
Right.
So they literally crash into Earth. So that's it. So that's that connect. That's where we now start having the confrontation that we've been waiting for all along in this series. That what happens when Storm finds out it's eternity that took over her body.
Right. And Infinity's like, oh, you didn't know? Oh, we lost audio, TJ. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I muted myself and I'm sitting here talking like an idiot.
Sorry, I was checking my AirPods and
Right.
everything.
I was like,
No,
wait.
I was saying both of you were like, "Is it me? Is it me?" No, I just forgot to unmute my mic because I always mute it because I'm always afraid I'm gonna be breathing heavy as hell like when someone's talking. So I mute myself. But I I love everything you're doing about this series, man. And again, just hearing the way you talk about it and the so many different layers to everything. And we talked about this before, but again, it's like y'all need to just let people cook. You need to set the stage
Mhm.
before you can, get to the big
The
finale,
feast.
right? So it's like everyone has to be a little bit patient, but I don't think anyone has to be patient because I mean, shit hits the fan at the very end of this issue. I feel like that's the other thing. Almost every single issue, and I won't even say almost every single issue ends like leaving me wanting more. And I think you do a great job. It's not even necessary. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's like a cliffhanger, but it just is like you just
Yeah.
really punch those endings in that make you excited for the next
That
issue. And
continuation.
speaking of
Yeah.
endings, yes, exactly. And this issue, we end off like we talked about. Infinity joins the party. So Maggot and Manifold's sacrifice, if we want to call it that, allows the door for Infinity to come, and she is coming to find where the hell her brother is. So when you ended this off with this big thing, obviously we're setting up the Thunder War, but I want to ask, so Storm, which you can correct me on the lineage here because I might get it wrong, but so Storm is connected with Eternity through um I'm blanking right now. Agamotto, right? Like her lineage with the magic and all that, right?
Yeah, Agamotto, Oshto, like that lineage,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah, so that's how she connects with Eternity, but Infinity is basically the other side of the coin of Eternity. Like
Yes.
they're twins, if you could say, but they're really like one of the same. So I
Yes.
wanted to ask, how does that affect Storm's relationship with Infinity? Like I feel like we haven't really gone into that, but is there anything there, or is like Infinity kind of a third party to this whole Oblivion Eternity war?
Yeah, even though they are different sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
So Infinity is going to be one other thing. If you've also been following the series, is that we've been seeing a lot of masculine figures, in the story. Eternity, Oblivion, the Living Tribunal, and we're going to see it start to shift. So, for Eternity, it's going to start shifting to Infinity. From Oblivion, it's going to start switching to Death. So you can start seeing the more feminine side of
Okay.
the cosmic side now. But
Genius.
so we're going to see Storm almost have that blowout with Infinity. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that lineage connection, that, oh, you are the avatar of this person, you're the host of this person, we're going to introduce a new character that has, not a new character, it's just a little cameo of the person that is for that person for Infinity. And if you've been reading comics for a long time, you know who that is, and that's Quasar. So Quasar
I
will
was gonna
also be
ask
joining
you
this.
about Quasar, dude. That's crazy. I literally have it written down right here. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so Quasar is going to have a little cameo as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, Never Queen, Scarlet Witch, Phoenix Force, Jean Grey, uh, Infinity, Quasar. So those are the entities and their avatar slash hosts.
That's crazy. Like I said, I literally wrote down Quasar, and I thought it was such a freaking clever question. I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have a good one with this one." But yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Antoine, were you gonna about to say something?
No, no, no. I was just
Oh,
agreeing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, oh my god, dude, I can't. And so collecting myself after all this, because again, these things just make my mind spin. But I'm so glad that you spoke about that, because we actually did get a couple comments about, getting more into the female gods and the
Yes.
female elder gods and her relationship to that. So I mean, and I don't know if people may hear me back on the recording, but as you were talking, I was like, freaking genius, man, because it's just so smart. Like you said, it's the
Yeah,
flip side of the coin. You know what I mean? It's like we see
yeah. People
the
people know that some of these things are deliberate, and then you see the
Mhm,
ramifications. It's not like I'm scared of writing female characters. I wrote I Am Iron Man. I Am Iron Man has
mhm,
predominantly female characters. The main villain in issue 1 is a villain. Issue 3 is about his mother. Issue 4 is with Maria Hill. Issue 5 is with Diola, another female character. So I have affinity for female characters. Like,
mhm.
even in my own independent work, is my grandfather was a god, which is a female character. So it's not like I'm scared of writing female characters. It's like this is a man's world, and then you try to transition it into how the thing changes. So you see that switch. And as Thunder War ends, I will move into Rogue Storm. You see, it is female led. You have Rogue and Storm. I'm going to start seeing even Storm's the magic that Storm is going to use, um which is it's not a spoiler, but it's a little bit of a spoiler. Is this magic that Storm is going to use in Rogue Storm is called Shadow Path.
Mhm.
And Shadow Path is a magic system in the Marvel universe that Ashake uses.
Mm,
Every time we talk about Storm, we say descendant of Ashake, you know,
Mhm.
and it's so I would not say what Shadow Path is, because that would be a major spoiler. If you do the research, fine. So that's the magic style. That's the magic she's going to use. So it's going to be something she inherited from our female ancestors. You're going to the story about why the gods are against this is because of Gaia and Hoshtor. You're going to start seeing that being delved into as we move along. So it's that thing. So it's also about dialogue. Volume of dialogue. Volume of dialogue is lesser. If you've noticed from issue 9, it's getting more per page. So it's a gradual transition. So it's some of the things that people say they are noticing are deliberate, and you're seeing that
mhm.
transition as we move to it. So yeah, that's mostly that.
See, everyone, again, you gotta let people cook. There's always a bigger plan at play. And again, I think that that is just a genius idea. Just shows your, skill of storytelling. And not only have you thought of this, but you have thought of it extensively, and it plays a pivotal role in the story, not just in the like plot, but just the themes of the story as well. And before we get into some of these questions that we got here, which, shout out to all of our Stormcasters out there. We appreciate y'all tuning in, hopping in the chat. Got some questions from Twitter as well. But Antoine, I want to get your thoughts on the ending of this issue. Again, you're obviously a little bit more in the know than most, but imagining you don't know anything, how did that reveal of Infinity hit you, and where did it make your mind go? Because again, my mind is like racing with possibilities, but is there like a specific avenue like you automatically kind of went down?
So, so first like s- I was surprised, like everyone else was. But it's kind of like we were talking about before we started recording. It was one of those things where it's just like once it happened, it all made so much sense. It was like it was all kind of spelled out in plain sight, but it wasn't until I actually saw it on the page, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Of course she would show up, and of course, she would have been the one to maybe save Galactus and the Silver Surfer Soot from the Black Winter. Like that, all that makes sense because like to these cosmic, and
Yes.
that was the other. Remember we were talking about. I think a lot of people haven't really picked up on the fact that this story isn't told in the traditional linear way. So there's stuff that's kind of happening in the future, and then we hop back to the present day, and then we might go a few days ahead, and then we hop back to another time. But when you think about beings like infinity and eternity, like this time doesn't mean anything to them. Like this, it's all for all we know happening to them at the same time, at the same place. So for me, like my first thought was like, oh shit, like well, like, okay, so Mag is down, Eden's down, Bishop and Jaden are in the corner, like suspended in midair. I'm assuming by Infinity. So I'm just like, what is about to happen between Storm and Infinity? That was my first thought. Like, what is that about to be
Yeah.
about?
And I'm really glad that you brought up the non-linear aspect of the story, because that's another one of my favorite parts of this. We talked about how last issue we see Eternal Storm and Abraxas confronting Hadad, which they
Yeah.
think is Oblivion, which obviously is, takes place in the future. And I think that
Hmm.
that is another just such a genius way in which you are
Yeah,
unfolding
we've not
this story.
seen. Yeah, we've not seen what happened yet with Oblivion. Like
Mhm.
that's what people haven't realized. We haven't seen what really happened in the whole eternity, Abraxas,
Mhm.
Oblivion, and Hadad kind of dynamic, and that comes later.
Yeah.
So it's those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, TJ, I wanted to ask you. As a Thor fan, did Galactus crashing give you any flashbacks?
Dude, yes, when you mentioned it, I was like, damn, I forgot to mention Surfer and Galactus. But dude, yes, man, for those out there who don't know, we talked about this last time. We're both really big fans of Donny Cates, but in Donny
Hmm.
Cates's Thor run, there's a
Yeah.
big thing with Thor and Galactus, and perfect homage, my friend, perfect homage.
Yeah, in
I
the
thought,
first issue, Galactus crashes in
yes.
this double page spread. Yeah,
Yep, it's so good, man. And I cannot I there's so much we could talk about. We could be here for hours, man. I wish we could just go
yeah.
forever, but I have to bring up one before we get to more questions. I'm sorry, everyone in the chat. I am taking my own selfish questions here, but I know we're getting Bill in the next issue. Can you tell us anything about how he is going to be fitting into this? Because the reason I asked this, and I'm not looking for spoilers necessarily, but the last we saw Bill, he was down with the Surfer. I think he both of them were kind of down, or maybe it was Galactus if I'm
Him and Cosmic
misremembering.
Ghost Rider.
Yes, Cosmic Ghost
Hmm.
Rider. So we see Galactus and Surfer fall down to Earth, and Infinity says themselves that they interfered with that. So where the hell is Cosmic Ghost Rider and Bill? Like, how, again, I
Uh
know you probably can't give specific answer, but what can we expect from their appearance in this next issue?
yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider, nothing yet. It's it's a cameo for now, like that issue. But Beta Ray Bill is going to be, since he has replaced Thor, in history. So he's going to be
Yeah.
the new Storm God. So he's going to be the one representing Thor in the Council of Storm Gods. So when Zeus is having this storm meeting, so where we see Lagon and all the stuff, we're going to see him there. So yeah, so that's when we're going to see him kind of talk and have clash with some of the thunder gods. Like, yeah, like, what are we going to do about this storm character and Hadad? So that's the role he's going to play, and he's going to show up also in issue 12, the final issue of Thunder War.
Gee, excuse
Um,
everyone listening and watching this with headphones, but yes, let's go, dude. That is amazing. I am so excited. I freaking love Bill. Again, we talked about this on our last one. Character that I selfishly believe
yeah, and he's going to
deserves
have
much more love.
Stormbreaker back.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh man. Yeah, I gotta stop myself right here
He,
because
he
I
came
will
back
go
in
nuts.
Immortal Thor.
I was gonna say, when did Stormbreaker come back? Did I miss that?
yeah, in Immortal Thor, when he was replacing Thor in the stories and in the posters, instead of Mjolnir, you now see Stormbreaker.
Yes. God damn, I need to
So
go
that's
back and
when it
catch
came
up.
back. So
Ah,
it's those
that's
Now,
little
and
that,
visual things.
go
before
ahead,
we go
Antoine.
to the other questions in the chat, I did want to mention, someone
Yes.
asked me to bring this up. So
Mhm.
with Zeus being there in number 11, is it going to kind of be explained why he's there?
Oh
Because I
yeah,
think he
it's
was
there. Newly resurrected Zeus. It's
Mhm.
there in the narration. Big.
okay.
All these immortal gods come back every single time. Thor just came back for crying out loud. So
I would
Yeah.
say, yeah, Thor was dead for not even an issue. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
literally, like, not even an issue.
So I would say, like, even in the Mortal Thor where he died, he had been dead. They brought him back just to kill him again in that
Yeah.
narration.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, pretty much anyone who dies in comics, you can, like, not
especially
be too
gods,
worried
like
about. Yeah. But especially gods. Like, they're for
They'll be
sure coming.
back.
This one, I thought this was a really great question, and something I never even considered. So, our friend Eclectic Blurds asked, "Did the FBI get Joff and Eden's personal possessions from someone who attended Maggot's Fight Club?" I thought that was a really good
And
question,
it's a good
really good.
question.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, that's a very good question. It's one of the things that we kind of set up in issue 9 to show the lengths they would go. So that's why I was kind of like laughing to myself when people are like, oh my God, these FBI agents are so, they're punching above their pay grade. And then I'm like, ah, you guys don't know how, like, these people are desperate. They are the people
Yeah.
that could make deals with a demon, just with demons, sorry, legion of demons, just to be able to get into our this. They're going to do something worse. So that issue was to show how desperate they can be. And in the next issue, you're going to see how further desperate they can be again. So the
That
FBI
alien
are
dude.
no
Oh,
jokes.
yeah, that alien dude who's be smoking on that oxygen. He just, oh, I don't
The
know
Yeah.
if Lucas,
nitrogen.
I don't know if Lucas did this on purpose, but man, he's got a punchable ass face, like just like, like. But
Yeah. My favorite of them is the both of them that show up in this issue. You will see the
mhm,
other two of the four show up in the next issue, but my favorite is Etienne and Fabi.
Yep.
And again, for people that don't know, Etienne is black, but she's a black ginger who are
mhm.
usually light in complexion and have ginger hair too.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite characters just because I'm just so interested to see what they're going to do. Like they're just I feel like they're the wild cards of this whole thing. And we
Yeah.
talked people who want to go catch me and Murewa's previous conversation on last issue. I even said myself, I'm like, bro, the FBI, like, what are they gonna do to Storm, man? Right? So I'm not the only
And then
one.
you find
Yeah,
out.
and then I found out real freaking quick how much of a problem that dude is. Like I said, oh, I hate that guy, which I is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
testament to your writing because you make me have such a visceral hatred for some imaginary character I've only
Character.
known for 2 issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And also for people that also haven't noticed, I think I can be a subtle writer, so people don't quickly notice when I've changed things. You know, like Etienne is a female character that is playing a prominent role in the series as an antagonist.
mhm,
So
Hmm.
people also saying, "Oh, weren't saying like big feminine energy." Is like, yeah, Etienne is there. Etienne was the one that orchestrated the moves in the last issue. She was the one
mhm,
that recruited this. She's and all those stuff. She had the big speeches. She had all those stuff in issue 9. You know, and here she is again to deal the killing blow. Here as well. She's almost probably one of the most dangerous characters in this series. And is a female character. So it's it's transitioning, but
mhm,
it can be very subtle that you don't see it's coming. And
yeah,
Etienne has done more than Eden in this series.
That's true.
mhm, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
She has.
yeah, but it's because she's in the antagonistic side of it. So yeah, so it's things like that. So,
See, there's always another layer. There's always a deeper layer. And this one I thought was really good as well. So, obviously, we got a massive shift coming in the X-Men office. I'm honestly not even too knowledgeable about everything going on, but the From the Ashes era is kind of transitioning. So, our question here says, does the reduction of issues make you try to fit everything? When do we get more? Or we already talked about that. But yeah, so
okay.
this whole new shift in kind of where the X-Men lines are going, has that affected anything with Storm and or Thunder War? We talked last time about how some things did affect the original
Yeah,
conception of Thunder War.
yeah. Which I've already said. Like I think when I was writing issue 9 was when I found out that, oh, do I want to do a new arc or and move Thunder War to the next,
Mhm.
or do Thunder War now? So and I decided to do Thunder War now because no one knows tomorrow. So yes, I did move to shift it, but even though it's shifted, what just it, it's not going to feel rushed. What's going to happen is the focus is going to change.
Mhm.
So rather than storm against each of those gods one at a time or something, it's storm against Hadad. So now it's the entities and the other thunder gods that are going to be like the collateral damage in the clash between those two entities.
Mm.
So if you're still seeing, oh, Storm will go against each of those gods, you will feel like, oh, what's happening? But if it's Storm and Hadad, you're like, oh, they've not even met. It's moving at the right pace. So now we've seen how dangerous Storm is. That Storm was able to take down two gods with a quickness. Next issue, we're going to see how badass, Hadad is. How many gods can he take down at the same time? And then
My
when we see
God.
how powerful he is, so maybe Storm takes down two, maybe it takes down, I don't know, 2,000. And you're like, like what just happened? and
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, and then so you're like from 2 to 2,000, you're like, and then they're like, yeah, in the third issue, now watch the one that took down two gods and the one that took down 2,000 gods face each other. Let's go.
Oh
So,
my gosh, dude. This
so,
Mm.
so,
series, man.
so, so it's not rushed. It's not rushed. It's we have to switch priorities. So instead of Storm, going against each of them, it's just Storm and Hadad. So if you see that Storm against Hadad, it changes. Yeah.
Dude. Oh my god. I mean, and just Haddad's first introduction into this series, I mean, instantly showed how
Right.
terrifying this guy was. I mean,
Definitely.
the one above all had to come and put his shit down. So that just shows you how like I am so scared, honestly. Like scared and excited. You know what I mean? Like just like the way you talk about
Yes.
him and like what we've seen so far, I feel like we have not seen anything yet of his capabilities. And it seems like you have every intention to show us exactly how
in the
powerful
next
and how bad
He is
this
in the
dude
next
is.
issue. Yes, so yeah. So because we're still seeing like little black winters from him leak
Hmm.
into the universe. In issue 9, we saw 3 that Eternity had to use himself and Abraxas to take care of. That's just 3. We have to see Infinity step in to help Galactus and Silver Surfer suit to defeat. Now, who is going to face him with a horde? Because that's what Thor said is coming. Him and a horde of Black Winters.
Oh
Who
my
is going to
god.
stop him? Abraxas won't be enough. Eternity will be enough. So that's what's coming. So if you know that
Jeez.
that's what's coming, you're going to
Hmm.
know that all these the Shango fights, they're small fries compared
Small
to
Right.
what's
potatoes.
coming. Yeah. So once you realize it's that, you're like, oh yeah, it's paced correctly. it's
Hmm.
it's what happened in the first volume. In the first volume, um when she had the radiation poisoning, and she was losing her hair, you know. And in issue 3, they're like, oh, hair is all fixed. People said, oh, the person is off. Like, oh, this hair thing should have been 5 issues, her struggling with her health and all those stuff, because they thought the story was about her health. They didn't know this. They know that that was just a manifestation. The real story was about eternity trying to take over our body.
Hmm.
So when you ask that, oh, the real story is about eternity to take over our body, you're like, oh, it's paced correctly. It's that we thought it was another thing. So Shango is not the main thing. These 5 thunder gods are not the main thing. You know, it's Storm getting distracted, thinking that was the main thing. You know, and yeah,
Yeah.
Which is absolutely crazy to think about. Like we just had
Yes.
all these storm gods, and that's what I'm focused on. Like, what are they gonna do? How powerful? But like you said, at the end of the day, they're small potatoes
They're
in the
peripheral. Yeah.
grand scheme of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
And
see. So,
I did like how, as we're going to the next question, I'll say really quickly,
mhm.
I did
Yes,
like how
please.
you had the lightning infused solar radiation to kind of keep him
yeah.
caged in that area.
Yes.
Because to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, my understanding is sort of how Al Ewing explained it in Immortal Thor when Storm appeared. It's like, you guys are the gods of storm, yes, of storms, but I'm the god of weather, and that's the difference. Because I feel
Yeah.
like if Sengo had those same kind of powers, he would have been able to irradiate the lightning and escape, but he didn't. Now, am I correct in saying that? Is my question.
Um, yeah, it's definitely inspired by Al Ewing, because um, not to like shit on myself or anything, is um, I focus a lot on emotions and plot shape, plot
Yeah.
structure. My plot structure, it's very different from everybody's plot structure. It's what trips a lot of people
Mm,
over. They expect things and they're like, no, that's not where it's supposed to be. And it's like, yeah, because my structure is different. So
yeah.
it's that. So and but Alwyn has this creativity which I enjoyed a lot with our, especially how we use Storm's powers. I think he was the first person
Mhm.
to use like air pressure and all those stuff.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh yeah, for this fight, let me see if I can channel a little Ali Ewan, let's see how I can be more creative with the use of the powers, and I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, if it's just lightning, Shango can just pass through it. And it's like, yeah, so what's the most dangerous thing that we know in most stories? They're like, oh yeah, just throw him into the sun,
Hmm.
because the sun is basically millions and billions of bombs, going off. So put that kind of radiation in that lightning and let's see if you can go through it without turning into ash or something. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was where that came from. And showing our versatility, because that's how she wins battles even against other omega level mutants, not just gods. Is that I'm more versatile with the power. When she was facing off with Thor is more powerful, but Storm, anytime she faces off anyone, she's always more versatile with that power. She's always more creative with that power. So I wanted to bring that little difference, that Shango might even be more powerful, but Storm has that versatility to be able to mix and match and all those stuff, and also to be able
Mhm.
to show the difference in their ideologies. You know, like even putting Shango in a cage. Shango is like, what? I'm not going to escape. I'm going to beat
Right.
you here. I'm not going to escape. I'm not
Right.
the storm god who retreats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are the one that the X-Men have taught you, tactical retreats, then come back. I don't. Storm gods don't retreat. Storm gods don't move back. If not for the Avengers, Thor does not retreat too. They
Yeah.
don't
Hmm.
That's
retreat.
true.
They keep going forward continually. They don't retreat. So it's like, I'm a storm god. We don't retreat. Like, what do you think this is going to do? I'm still going to beat you here. So it's also to show that philosophy. And there's some subtle things that you might not it's visual, but you might also not notice. Is also showing, the way cats flare up, but you never see the fights. Sometimes they just flare
Hmm.
up and then nothing happens. Is to show that as they are talking, Shango's mouth, we start seeing smoke.
Hmm.
His iconic move is the fire breath. And
Mhm.
Storm's move from issue 6 is the ice breath. So you can
Hmm.
see both of them
Yeah.
already getting ready. Smokes from Shango's mouth, steam
And the
from
ice. Yeah.
Storm's mouth. Like, I'm ready. If you release the fire breath, I'll release the ice breath. But he never gets to use this before Margot shows up. But just that tension, we close up on it. Just that
Yeah.
tension. Like, I know how to counter you this time. You're muted again.
He muted himself. Uh-oh, did we lose him?
I think I'm frozen.
Yeah, you're back.
Can can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
God damn. Can you hear? Okay, a little frozen right here. Wait, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everybody. You can hear me.
It
We
happens.
have a question from our over on Twitter, and he wants to know. Okay, you can hear me? Okay. Max Marvel, sorry everybody from Twitter. He wants to know, is Haddad from Thunder War the same dude as Bal Haddad from the classic Gina Stone storyline in Wolverine Volume 2?
A lot of all the gods that show up in the Storm series have shown up in the comics one time or the other, and they are the same character, but we kind of revamp them a little and then push them in power scale to make them play bigger role here, because a lot of them, continuity is good, but we also don't want to be a slave to continuity if there's a more interesting story, at play
Fair.
here, you
Yeah.
know, and also make them fit better with the bigger continuity. We've seen Thor and some of these other Thunder gods, and we see how they interact. And Haddad in the Wolverine story, as interesting as he is, as relevant as it is to the story, that is at war with Yahweh, which is also similar to here, where he's at war with the one above all. We also need to elevate him to the higher echelon of like those kind of interaction that Thor has. So we kind of like make it work and things like that. So try to like, so it's a combination of like, the higher continuity of like Marvel cosmic stuff with like Thor stuff and that
Mhm.
Wolverine story, and then like mash it together and then make it work for us. Since he's probably had like only like one appearance or so.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I I would say I didn't hear the full answer to that question, but I'm just glad that the question got across. But and we talked about this a little bit last time, though. I know I didn't hear your full answer, but I think I can kind of surmise it a little bit because we talked a little bit about this
Yeah.
last time. But like, kind of just like, yes, he has that appearance, but you're not necessarily not acknowledging that. But this is kind of just an evolution of that
Yeah,
is, and
mix and match.
like you can use that because there's not a lot. Like, yeah, he's got an appearance, but yeah, I'm pretty. Shout out our friend of the show, Max Marvel. Max might be one of the only people who remembers that. So shout out to Max for the research on that. But another question we have here, which I think we've kind of talked about a little bit, but we don't want to leave any of our Stormcasters out. But they want to know. So this is RCDC at Fallen Lantern 92. They want to know what is the next step after the hurdle that is called Haddad going to be Oblivion, because we know he's not gone for good. Or is there another barrier she will need to pass before that battle comes to a head?
Hmm. Um, in the grand scheme of things, the next thing after Adad is Rogue Storm. That's the Age of Revelation. But in that Eternal Storm saga thing, that's a major spoiler. It's like the last page of issue 12. But
Okay.
let's just say
So
death is
stay
not
tuned,
pleased.
RCDC. Stay tuned. Let's see here. That's honestly, that's all we had from Twitter. Oh, here's a good one. Our friend Eclectic Blurds Nietzsche. Hey, which shout out Eclectic Blurds. You've been awesome in the chat. Everyone's been awesome in the chat today. But they want to know: isn't Shango's powers tied to his axe, or can he command storm outside of that?
Just like Thor, he can and he also can't. Is it's always like this, you know. You see you see Thor fly with only with his armor.
Mhm.
Worthy Thor he can't fly without the armor, and I think in Donny Cates run and also in Owl's run, I think he can also fly without the armor. So it's changes and
Mhm.
switches, but here I kind of make it like he summons the hammer before he can use lightning. But most thunder gods can. We just say the hammer helps them focus it better. So here it's the hacks.
Yeah, and like you said, things are changing all the time. I think it was Cates's run where he started being able to fly without the hammer because it was broken, and then Odin was the hammer. I mean, things have been crazy in Thorland lately. Everybody, if y'all ain't been
Yeah, but
keeping up with it,
also
but
but I
Yeah.
also saw images like way before, like old 60s stuff, that
mhm.
some writers that Stanley makes sure is the hammer that flings him, and we see some stories where there's no hammer and it flies. So it's little stuff like that.
It's a little gray area. I always
Yeah,
like to say, continuity and all that kind of stuff is basically it's whatever the writer wants it to be. It's like all this at the end of the
yeah,
day, all this stuff is made up. So it's
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
who you know
And you get
Stan. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and yeah, like if Jason Aaron's on Worthy Thor, that Thor can fly without the armor, it's a pretty good story. I enjoyed it, and in Donny Cates, this small story where this little mechanic had the armor and Thor was flying next to him without the armor was also cool.
Hmm.
So it was
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
this awesome story, and it's like, yeah, I can enjoy both stories without
Yeah.
stressing myself about wait, why should he be able to fly if he couldn't fly in Jason Aaron's run?
Mm.
Yeah. And like you said,
Yeah.
it's
If
all
it's
made
cool
up. It's
enough,
fiction.
who cares? So I'll open it up before we wrap it up. Anyone else has some questions, feel free to drop them in. But before we get out of here, Murewa, I gotta throw it off to you. Storm number 10, the Thunder War has officially started. Anything that you would like to tease for fans to let them know of what's to come in the rest of this Thunder War? Again, I'll say this one again. Went pretty far into Thunder War in our last discussion. So if y'all want to go check that out, we do talk a little bit about the entire event. But I guess more so specifically issue 11. What can you tease for fans waiting?
In issue 11, we're going to have the Council of Gods. We're going to see Beta Ray Bill interact with the gods, and we're going to see the ramifications of what they discuss. Just like in the previous issue 5, we saw the ramifications of the discussions that takes place between eternity and oblivion and what it has on Earth. So we're going to see the ramifications of what happens between those thunder gods and what happens with Storm. We're going to see
Mhm.
Storm's confrontation with Infinity about what she's been going through, and we're going to have some cameo appearances from other hosts and avatars in the Marvel universe. So, and in issue 12, we're going to have the full, conquests versus invincible fight between Storm and Haddad.
Oh, dude, Invincible versus Conquest. I can't believe you just said that right now. I I'm gonna go freaking crazy. Antoine, as a fan, as a Stormcaster yourself, what are you excited for next? Again, pretend you don't know anything. Pretend you don't have any background information. What are you hoping for? Again, not just next issue, but this event in general. Or I guess what makes you most excited?
I think what makes me most excited is for people to see the versatility of the character and the different things that you can do with Storm. Because as we talked about before, her outings or her solo stories or what have you have never really been looked at as anything monumental or any or important for that matter. And what I'm most looking forward to and excited about is this continuing to change that myth. And because it's not true, Storm is a character that can most definitely carry a solo title. She's a character that deserves to. I'm excited to see the ramifications of Thunder War, which lead into Rogue Storm. And because what I was saying the other day is Rogue Storm is a continuation of the Storm solo series. It is connected, it is a part of it. And I'm excited to see
Thank God.
if anything from Thunder War carries over into Rogue Storm, and then what from Rogue Storm carries over when after the event for the next arc of Storm. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to the future, honestly. As a fan, as a Storm fan, one of the OG Storm fans, I'm happy to just have an ongoing solo series that's being well received, that's been excellently written, illustrated, and colored, and it's just received so much support. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Mhm.
Yeah, big
I
respect
just
to
people
Lucas and
just
Alex
Yeah.
because they've been
this
killing it on
Alex. I wish.
illustration.
Hopefully, I mean, we've been fortunate enough to do this song very well. Hopefully, maybe we can get them on. Create I would love to hear from both of them about how they bring your scripts to life. Because I gotta say, there's no diss to all of our artist friends working right now, but I mean, Lucas is just. I'm using our F bomb for the episode. Fucking killing it, dude. Like his splash
Yeah,
pages
they
are
went all out for this
absolutely
issue. Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also love too this was in the previews, but the big like splash page of her doing the staff and like the lightning
Yeah,
and
Oh
everything. I
yeah.
loved how the
yeah,
caption of that was "You cut my hair." That was
yeah,
perfect. Like such an epic moment. I
Yeah.
loved that so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And wait
that
till you
leads
see
us
Mario
perfectly. I think this is a
Santoro's
great.
work. I was saying wait
Ooh.
until you see like Mario Santoro, who's
in
like
the
a
next
newer
issue.
artist to the big two. Yeah. His stuff has been really,
Ooh, I
really
It's
great.
can't wait.
crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, do
And
you have
when's
any
he
other
coming
questions in
in?
the comments?
On Rogue
Next
Storm or
issue.
oh, next issue. Okay, perfect. And we're I'm keeping you guys too long already, so I'll get through
Okay.
this last two questions real quickly. Storm's weapon, does it have a name? The staff.
Uh, oh, not yet. Sorry.
Not yet. I can give you some suggestions if you need one. Yes, I have questions.
Copyright
He has power
stays.
set. Sorry, I think I cut out for a second there. But I mean, we got a couple questions here, but I think it's some stuff that we already kind of went over. So if any,
Okay, cool.
people maybe tuned in a little later, go check out the whole conversation. We really went into everything. Murewa, I cannot thank you enough, and
Yeah.
Antoine as well. I can't thank both you guys enough for taking the time to come nerd out with me, especially since I've kept you longer than I should have, as I usually do. But thank you again for your time, Murewa. If you want to take a second to plug yourself, tell everyone where to find you, and Antoine as well, where everyone can find you, what you got going on.
Yeah. I always have fun coming here, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Antoine, for helping set this up and for being here for the discussion. Yeah, I'm still just working on the Storm series, so keep following the Storm series. and we're moving into Rogue Storm. Want to have like big orders. It's really really crazy. She has this new costume that's inspired by like this Eastern African attire, by like the Imba people and the Zulu tribe, So we're going all out. She's going to be using the Shadow Path magic system. She's going to be having a battle axe. We're going down and Warren Johnson kind of crazy violence, but with a Mike Mignola type of art style. So we're going like really dark, scary Mike Mignola type of art. So it's really, really good stuff. So you're going to have fun with it. So just keep following the Storm series, join up on the Rogue Storm series, and then yeah. So that's just all. I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm hardly on there because I'm trying to like write so many scripts now. So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just it. Keep following the Storm series.
I mean, as for me, I've got a lot going on, but none of that is important to what's happening with Storm. So the important thing with Storm
Hey,
is
it's all
let's
important, man.
keep
It's all important.
well, I just want people to continue enjoying the series, pre-ordering, spreading the word, let people that you know that you think might be interested to check it out because it's definitely going to be one for the history books and it's just really getting started, quite frankly. So, yeah.
I cannot agree with both of you or echo both of your statements more. Everyone, be sure to keep up with Storm to have everything you want answered because I guarantee you Murewa has thought about it. He has thought about it. He has gone through every scenario about it, and whatever question you
Meticulously.
have will be answered. Yes, meticulously. So keep an eye out on Storm. Keep an eye out on everything Murewa is doing. Make sure you go follow Antoine. You can also follow us at Agents of Fandom. We can catch Comic Corner every single
Yep.
Thursday where we review our favorite books of the week. So you can catch us tomorrow and hear my full review of Storm number 10 if you didn't get enough of my ramblings today. And you can also catch all of our other great stuff on the Agents of Fandom YouTube channel. We got pretty much a show for everything that you're watching. We just released a great interview with Fantastic Four director Matt Shankman, and we have so much more stuff on there. So go check that out. And again, my friends, thank you for joining me. Thank you for everyone in the chat that showed up. Y'all have been absolutely wonderful. And we will see you guys all next time.
See ya. And don't forget, tomorrow we're doing Black Comic Lord. So if you want a sneak peek of number 11, check us
Yes.
out.
Yes, please. Thank you for bringing that up. Plug Black Comic
I
Lords.
forgot.
That you all are on YouTube, Spotify, all the what's called podcast networks.
It's gonna be YouTube. Yeah, the live streaming on YouTube, and it'll also be like on Facebook and Twitter. So yeah, they can check it out
Okay.
there.
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. I tune in almost
Thanks,
every
everyone.
single time, and it's a great show. So everyone, please go follow and tune into that as well.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much,
Okay, we
everyone.
will see you guys all next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.